Shambles is in hot water after their VP was caught on a hot mic saying that their soups use bioengineered meat and that only poor people eat them.
We have shit for poor people. Who buys our shit? I don't buy healthy products barely anymore. So healthy, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer.
Tonight, I hop back into the dark side of TikTok. Welcome back, family. As y'all know, before the video starts, I just want to thank all my channel members for the support. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, remember to smash that subscribe button. We are 10,000 off of 100,000 subscribers. Let's try to hit 100K before the end of the year. Let's go.
This accident would change Michael Jackson's life forever when his hair caught on fire while filming this Pepsi commercial. In the 1980s, Pepsi partnered with Michael Jackson to sponsor his upcoming world tour and to have him star in a couple Pepsi commercials. The first ad was a group of kids dancing in the streets to a remixed Billie Jean. One of the kids, dressed like Michael Jackson, bumps into real-life Michael Jackson. That kid would go on to play Carlton Banks in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, by the way. The second commercial Michael Jackson did with Pepsi in January 1984 would become one of the most infamous accidents in advertising history. This was filmed on stage in the Shrine Auditorium in front of thousands of fans. On the sixth take of Michael Jackson walking on stage, the pyrotechnics went off before he moved down the stairs, and his head and hair caught on fire. He didn't even seem to realize it while he's still dancing until his brothers and crew members rushed towards him to put out the flames. He suffered second and third degree burns to his face and scalp. Only 25 years old at the time, Jackson's life was forever altered from this accident. His hair would never grow back after this. He had several operations to repair the burns on his head, and he suffered from chronic pain and began taking painkillers, which he would become addicted to and eventually lead to his unexpected passing. Maybe craziest of all, this post pointed out that the Pepsi accident happened exactly in the middle of his life, 9,282 days after his birth and 9,282 days after he passed away.
Topic itself that this is meant to represent is disturbing, don't get me wrong. However, this specific featuring right here is not the craziest thing in the world. This TikTok video that I got tagged in shows this person on the ground looking like they're praying. There's a person behind them holding a sword. The camera then zooms in on the person that's holding the sword in the background, and the face is very creepy, I will admit. Now, I will say, I'm not too sure as to the exact location of this installment. However, I would guess that this is somewhere in a museum, and what it's meant to represent is seppuku. The history behind seppuku is somewhat convoluted. Most oftentimes, though, it's associated with samurai. Samurai are meant to be courageous, so if they get defeated in battle and they don't pass away, they sit down in the middle during seppuku. They use their blade to remove the contents of their guts. There's then a person behind waiting for that defeated samurai to finish, and then they finish them off. It's a very interesting ritual, not so much used nowadays. I would definitely recommend doing more research though, because what I talked about is just a small scratch of the surface of information about seppuku.
Erica Kirk has happily revealed that she is 8 weeks pregnant with Charlie Kirk's child, saying it was him leaving his final gift to the world. The only problem with that is Charlie Kirk died 10 weeks ago. The widow of Charlie Kirk has announced that she is pregnant with what would have been their third child together, except there's a slight issue. The dates don't quite add up, with even Charlie Kirk superfans saying, "The math just ain't mathing on this one." Vice President JD Vance was the first to congratulate the expectant mother on Twitter, saying that the child will be a light in the darkness that will hopefully get to grow up in a quite peaceful America, something that his father never got to experience. "I will love and cherish him, because if it isn't him, I would recommend an abortion as if he were my own son. We are all Charlie Kirk now. We've all been where he has." This weird congratulatory message has led many people to rekindle the rumour that Erica Kirk and JD Vance may have been hooking up after Charlie Kirk's accidental death.
I mean, I guess it depends on when she got the news, because if she got the news 2 weeks ago, that means it would correlate to 8 weeks. But if she recently just got it and then she recently just tweeted it, then that's kind of an issue.
Guys, be very careful where you're getting your rice from, because what you're seeing right here is manufactured plastic rice, and there's a lot of videos all over the internet of people getting rubbery rice. I'm going to show you soon, but look at this. This is what's going on right now, and people are starting to notice. Look at this. He crumbles up the rice. He knows it's not natural, and it's bouncy, like rubber rice. Right? So we need to make sure that we're getting, again, organic food. There's a way to check if your rice is, plastic or if it's natural. And I'm going to show you right now. Just throw a little bit in a hot cast iron pan, and if it starts popping up, then you know it's real. If it starts melting, then you know it is plastic. And you're gonna see in this video, the rice, you know, it starts popping up and changing colors. That is what it should do. It's natural. See how it's popping up? See how they're all popping? And start changing a little bit more brown because they're burning. This is natural rice. But if it starts melting in the pan, you don't want to eat it. So be very, very careful, guys, okay? Peace and love.
Some guy that got inspired by the TV show You, and this is a similar story with this guy, Christopher Thomas, right? He was stalking Samantha Stites for over like 10 years, and this happened in 2011. She was really trying to be social, so she ended up joining this Christian group. But she was very outgoing, very friendly, so she saw this guy, Christopher, right? She approached him, started making conversation, but it was like just like small talk. The way he took it was a flirtatious way, because he started basically flirting with her like over Facebook and stuff, messaging, oh, like, I really like you, like, I want to get to know you. And she kind of like brushed it to the side, right? But she would still see him at the Christian group. It started getting weird when he started showing up at every single spot that she was at.
He would always be there.
He would always just be there. Like, it was so weird because she would walk into the grocery store, seconds after, he would somehow be there. So he was like, God really wants us to be together. God told me, like, you didn't choose me, but I chose you. 2014, she finally got a restraining order on him, right? She was telling the cops, like, hey, listen, he's following me all the time. I really don't feel safe around him. It was approved for 6 years. 6 years later,
He waited.
the bro came back. The restraining order was done. On October 7th, 2020 is when everything changed. She wakes up to a loud creak in her house.
No.
And as soon as she opens her eyes, there's a man standing right there. She can't do anything. He ends up like blindfolding her, bonding her, puts her inside her truck and takes her to some like location. They get to this location. She doesn't know where she is. She's inside this like box, and on the sides there's y'all know those foam sound panels?
Yep.
They're all over the wall, like some blue and black panels all over the wall.
He had a soundproof room.
Exactly. And he told her, he literally tells her, this bunker was made specifically for you.
Wow.
And I got inspiration
From the show.
the Netflix TV show.
He tells her this.
He tells her this straight up, like.
That touched back on one of my recent videos. I think I uploaded it on Monday, where I talked about how people can be influenced by like TV shows. And this is a prime example of that.
This video should terrify you. He's part of an experiment, but nobody around him knows it. He's an actor pretending that he's in really bad shape. He's really messed up. And hundreds of people are walking past him and completely ignoring him. So now they switch up the experiment and they put a woman instead. After 4 minutes, 34 people walked past her like she wasn't even there. Now here's where it gets crazy. This woman knows something's off, but she doesn't want to help because nobody else is helping. But look what happens when somebody does help. She comes over and she helps. But she needed to see somebody take action first before she did something. Now here is where it gets really crazy. They put the same guy from the first experiment in a suit, and he was helped in 6 seconds because he was wearing a suit. And that right there is the dangerous part about following the crowd. People don't think, they imitate. Just because everybody's doing something doesn't mean it's right. This is how good people could ignore terrible things. It's called the bystander effect. It shows what a difference one person can make. Think for yourself, because if you don't, then the crowd will end up thinking for you.
Dude, I was watching this video the other day, and it was this dude doing like a gold digger prank in a way. He dressed as a homeless dude, like a dude that kind of looks poor or homeless. Then he dressed as like a business casual suit, and he got so much more respect. It's actually insane how much people look up to people in business suits.
You want to know why your Campbell's chicken tastes the same every year? Ha ha! Because we print it. Real veggies go bad, but these? Bioengineered, genetically boosted, shelf-stable for life. Perfect for profit margins. Look at this stuff, layer by layer, pure printed protein. Why pay for chickens when we can make our own meat? These are our latest creations. We test the printed stuff on them first. They eat anything we print. Strong little monsters. The board loves our printed meat plan. Costs are way down, quality is way down, but who cares? People keep buying it. Straight from the printer, into the soup, into the can. Bioengineered veggies, printed chicken, enhancer serum, all mixed together nice and cheap. Shh, listen close. This batch is still alive.
people exposed that. I think it was like Campbell's brand or something. I've never eaten it, thank God. But people exposed that. Apparently the owner of it was saying it's fake or something like that. It was some crazy stuff. There's more clips later in the video that literally expose the actual audio call of him claiming that this is fake meat. It's crazy.
One bad step, and he is already dead.
What is this alcohol?
Buddy, I'm not too sure how you got into this situation, and I'm not too sure how you're going to get out. All jokes aside, this video that I got tagged in shows something you should never do: ride down an escalator that has steps missing and appears to be undergoing maintenance, and that's best case scenario. Now, most people here probably take escalators every single day, maybe for work, and you don't think anything of it. And while escalator injuries and fatalities are quite rare, most of the time when they happen, it's when somebody falls into an opening where the gears are moving. I've had several viral incidents before happen where people will step off the escalator and fall into this compartment. For example, this woman ended up saving her son, but unfortunately she was pulled down and lost her life. Whenever it comes to moving gears and heavy machinery, humans are always going to lose when placed in that situation. And this person is voluntarily doing that, which is insane. One false step and you are dead here. So again, I highly recommend not taking an escalator that's out of order. I don't even know the context behind this clip, but I figured I'd warn people just in case.
They do say you have a higher chance of dying on an escalator compared to an elevator.
Campbell's is in hot water after their VP was caught on a hot mic saying that their soups use bioengineered meat and that only poor people eat them. In the recording, he said this.
We have shit for f***ing poor people. Who buys our shit? I don't buy f***ing products barely anymore. It's so healthy. Now that I know what the f*** in it, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. You?
If the vice president of the company is talking about his soup this way, I'm never eating it again. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and make sure to follow if you want to get all your news in one place.
Another reason why you need to stop eating processed food. So allegedly, a disturbing truth has been revealed about Campbell's soup. And allegedly, the chicken that Campbell's has been using inside of their chicken noodle soup and chicken soup and any soup that contains chicken is not real. You heard what I said. The chicken that they've been putting inside of the cans of chicken soup allegedly is not real. As a matter of fact, take a listen to this.
We have shit for fucking poor people. Who buys our shit? People keep it. I don't buy products barely anymore. It's so healthy. Now that I know what the in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, look at meat, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer.
And by just listening to this clip, you heard what he allegedly just said, right? I don't want a piece of chicken that came out of a 3D printer. He also allegedly said that he doesn't want any bioengineered chicken. And now to put some context into 3D printed chicken, that's exactly what 3D printed chicken looks like. And just in case you have any concern as to how long 3D printed chicken has been around, this article is from September of 2021. This 3D printed chicken breast was cooked with a frickin' laser. Engineers at Columbia University developed a system that can simultaneously produce and heat food with precision. So this is pretty disturbing. As I said, it's alleged. If it turns out that it's true, what other companies are putting 3D printed chicken into their food? And if you go back and listen to the statement that was made, by the way, that's the vice president of Campbell's. He also stated that their food is for poor people. That should also be a very strong indicator to you as to how this company feels about you. And the individual responsible for recording the VP's rant, as you can see right by this headline, Campbell's worker fired after recording VP's rant mocking poor people and 3D printed chicken. So keep this in the back of your mind. As you can see, it can look like chicken. It may taste like chicken, but everyone heard what was said on that clip. It's not chicken. So I guess my question to you is, after hearing that, will you still eat this if it allegedly is true? And also, what other companies do you think are using 3D printed chicken. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
I think McDonald's might be using 3D printed chicken. My thought is, how the hell do you 3D print a chicken and make it actually, like, in some sense nutritious, you know what I'm saying? That kind of reminds me of the SpongeBob episodes where they were printing Krabby Patties.
David situation. As of right now, David in this whole murder mystery case, he is no longer a suspect because new news came out that Celeste, they have a biopsy. They're saying, this is what they suspect, that she had a overdose. But why the hell is she still
in the car? Yeah.
What if maybe she did overdose because of them and then they're obviously trying to hide that?
Yeah, hide that. Okay. But my theory is like all the evidence is there, the tattoos like that. There's no way that.
Yeah, there's no way he's not a suspect, right?
Yeah.
So check this out. TMZ put out a video, and it's of the main guy that like gets information.
They're gonna move on somebody not too long from now. Surveillance video, Tesla video, and DNA that I think is going to correct this.
Yeah, where is the Tesla video? That's a really good point.
So 100%, there's footage of somebody there, and how the body got in there. But why is nothing said right now?
Yeah.
I thought I had heard of all the worst serial killers, but I had never heard of this guy. This is Kurt Werner Wickman, and he might go down as one of the worst serial killers in German history. Now, this is coming from a podcast episode I just did covering some of his worst confirmed crimes, but to show you how horrible he was, let me tell you a story. In 1989, a woman named Birgit Meyer vanished without a trace as she was leaving a restaurant heading home. Her husband was pretty quickly ruled out, and there were no other suspects really in this vanishing. But police got a tip that at one point in her life, she had gone home with this very normal man named Kurt. And so police thought, it's at least something, let's go check this guy out. So the police show up to his house just to ask him a few questions, and they bring a cadaver dog with them. Essentially, immediately once they get there, the cadaver dog sits down because it smells human remains. The dog proceeded to hit at over 100 sites on Kurt's property, indicating that human remains were at all of those sites. So the police are like, okay, we definitely have to investigate this guy. They get a warrant and they go straight into his house. And what they find in his basement, all the way in the back, is this locked door. Now, none of the other doors in his house are locked, and his wife says that she just doesn't ask questions about this door and she has no idea what's in it. And when police finally get inside of that door, it is essentially a torture chamber. They find torture devices. They find videos that he had made, videos that he had collected. They find women's purses, handbags, shoes, all of this stuff belonging to other women, and they find a pair of handcuffs that have a drop of blood on them. And when they test the blood, it's Birgit's. And then they start digging around his property and they find items belonging to what they believe is over 200 people. There is so much more to this story, as I'm sure you can imagine, and police in Germany are still trying to figure out the identity of all the people whose belongings Kurt had. I do a breakdown on some of his worst crimes. I also get a lot into his really crazy backstory, and you can listen to it on the Heart Starts Pounding podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Half of these people are completely lying.
I'm not trying to accuse everyone in this line of lying, but apparently this has become a large problem for some different airlines. The video that you guys just watched here shows a bunch of people sitting in line for Air India, and the one glaringly obvious thing about this video is that every single person in line here is using a wheelchair, and it's alleged that a lot of them do not actually have disabilities. Apparently, this is something that's been being seen more and more lately, and no, this is not just happening in India, where people are faking disabilities in order to get priority boarding, to get through the airport process faster. This photo, for example, was taken outside of a Frontier gate. And obviously, this has become a problem because the people that do need priority boarding are getting pushed out by those who really don't. They're just in a rush. That being said, I don't know why people would be in such a rush to sit on the plane and wait anyways. This line of thinking doesn't make sense to me at all. But yeah, there have been airlines that have been seeing this more and more lately. It's really too bad.
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's
As you can see,
a voice cuts in saying that death is irreversible, and the fact that she is trapped before it was cut.
here in London, it is a lovely day, and as the hearse heads out into West London.
So that video like intrigued me a lot, and I saw someone commented and they were saying something like, the elites now have like technology where they can transfer consciousness, but once you die, it's irreversible. Like you can't, you know what I'm saying, take that back. And apparently Queen Elizabeth missed that opportunity. So if that's true, then you know what I'm saying, that's kind of scary.
The evening of June 28, 1997, an 83-year-old woman named Leila Howard turned up the radio in the living room of her small home in Texas, and then she took a seat next to her husband, Raymond, on the couch. Raymond was now 88 years old. He was also recovering from brain surgery, and they both were planning to go to bed in the next few minutes because they had a big day the next day. They were going to go to the Pioneer Day Music Festival, which is an annual fiddling festival located about 15 miles away in the town of Salado, Texas. The next morning, Leila and Raymond walked out the front door of their house, and they walked down to their driveway where their Oldsmobile car was parked and began driving. That evening, Leila's son, Hal, decided to swing by Leila and Raymond's house. He noticed that Leila and Raymond's car was not in the driveway. And so he thought, maybe his mom and Raymond were out driving around somewhere and they'd be back later. A few hours later, at 8 p.m., Hal drove back to Leila and Raymond's house. He saw their car was still not back yet. He opened up the door and he walked inside. All he could find was on one of the beds, there were all these neat stacks of clothes that were laid out, and so it just seemed like something's off here. Hal ran outside and he called the police. The police quickly discovered that Leila and Raymond had never even made it to the music festival, and nobody reported seeing anything or hearing anything. That is, until 3 days later, located 500 miles away, a police officer in a little town in Arkansas spotted an Oldsmobile that was driving with its lights off. And so the officer pulled the car over and he ran the license plate, and it came back as belonging to Leila and Raymond. He had not received any updates about this missing couple. And the officer would say to Leila, "Hey, you're driving with your lights off." And Leila would say, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." And so he just flicked her lights on and said, "I'm going to give you a warning, but be careful with your lights." The police officer in Arkansas who pulled them over would eventually put it together who he had pulled over. And at that point, Arkansas would get in on the search for Leila and Raymond. July 12th, these two young boys were walking by a small stream in a town called Hot Springs, Arkansas, when they began to smell a terrible smell. Police would come out and they would search that entire area, and they would find Leila and Raymond's Oldsmobile at the base of a 25-foot cliff, and they were both deceased. There were no skid marks on the cliff itself, which meant Leila, who was driving, never hit the brakes as she went over the cliff. Nobody knows why Leila and Raymond abruptly left their town and drove hundreds of miles into Arkansas, although their family members have speculated that it could be because Leila and Raymond had declining cognitive function. This story is what inspired a very, very famous song from the late 1990s. It's called The Way by Fastball. I'll sing you a line and see if you can remember this song. Where were they going without ever knowing the way? Anyone can see the road that they walk on is paved in gold. It's always summer, you'll never get cold. You'll never be hungry, you'll never be old and gray. Boom, there you go. If you know the song, now you know it's got a pretty intense backstory.
This has been everywhere on social media right now. These police officers stopped this lady on the road one night, and they found her 7- and 5-year-old niece and nephew decomposing inside of a suitcase that she had in her car.
Bro.
You seen this shit?
I seen the body cam footage of this.
Apparently it was this lady named Nicole Johnson. This happened in 2021 in Baltimore. Police ended up stopping her because they noticed on her car that the car wasn't registered in her name, and she had fake tags on the car. So they were planning on bringing a tow truck to come and get her car. She says something super eerie before the tow truck comes up. She goes and says,
Well, watch tomorrow, y'all. We're gonna see me on the news.
Really?
This is really what she says, yes. They're like, all right, whatever. If you want to get all your stuff out of the car, like whatever you need, get it now before they come and tow your car. So she opens her trunk and she's like grabbing a bunch of random stuff, and she brings out this suitcase. At first, the cop is already like, what is that smell? He smells something that basically smells damp. And the cop is just like, bro, let me see. Open that up. And she's stalling like crazy, bro. She doesn't want to say what it is. And she's just like, yeah, it's just bags. It's just dirty clothes. She opens this up and they see the body of one of the kids at first. And then they ended up discovering both of them. They're all just like losing their mind seeing this thing.
So crazy.
She tries to run off. Eventually, this lady actually ended up getting 50 years when they locked her up. Yeah. And her sister, who's the mom of both these kids, she couldn't take care of them for whatever reason, and she ended up putting them under her custody. They just had this crazy discovery, and they were just trying to have like a normal traffic stop.
That's so insane, bro. That's like the last thing that they were thinking about saying.
Yeah, and the darkest thing that was like really disgusting is they said when they pulled the suitcase out, there was like maggots falling out of the car.
Yo, she deserved, honestly, give her 100 years, not even 50. Honestly, give her 1,000 years. What?
The CIA. Of course I commit war crimes. I commit regular crimes too, but look at the hierarchy of Crime Stoppers. I'm at the top, so who gonna stop me? I'm the CIA. Of course I call them black sites. That's mainly the color of the people that's in there. I'm the CIA. Of course shit don't be adding up. That's because I did the math. I'm the CIA. Of course I destroyed the black family. When them niggas was working together, they were a real pain in the ass. I'm the CIA. I ain't put no crack in them neighborhoods. I gave them niggas coke. They turned it into crack. I don't even got the recipe. I'm the CIA. Of course I lie to you. The truth is classified, dummy. Plus, if I did tell you the truth, you wouldn't even believe it. Watch this. Martin Luther King actually worked for us. We killed him so he would never snitch. See, look at you. You don't believe me. I'm the CIA. Of course I was sad when King Von died. He was like a free assassin. At one point, he was killing more niggas than us. I'm really just sad we didn't get to clone him in time.
Real Venom is on Earth now.
Yeah. In Panama, this one's going viral on TikTok. A little meteorite rock, right?
Yeah.
And it actually landed. The guy that found it, he kept vlogging about it. Puts it on like a safe, and every day he vlogs it.
Yeah.
Fam, it's turning into like a fungus. The third day, he opened the safe. It was just like webs.
Then Loki got predicted because there was a movie a while ago, literally about bacteria that was in space.
We're looking at the first proof of life beyond Earth.
You finally a daddy? It's gonna be a big custody battle over this one.
That's beautiful.
The evening of March 31st, 2012, a 40-year-old man named Justin was standing in the corner of a boxing ring inside of a convention center in Ottawa, Canada. He could hear the screams of hundreds of fans in the stands all around him, and he knew thousands more were watching him on TV. And Justin was pretty nervous, because this was not only the most important boxing match of his whole career, but it was also his very first, and Justin knew he was massively the underdog. Justin looked across the ring at the other corner, and he locked eyes just for a second with his opponent, whose name was Brass Knuckles Brazeau. He had served in the Canadian military, he had a black belt in karate, and he was notorious for packing an insanely strong punch. The announcers couldn't help but begin making fun of Justin. They even quickly nicknamed him the Shiny Pony. When the bell rang for the first round, Shiny Pony got up and he charged across the ring and immediately just started swinging at Brass Knuckles, and none of them landed. And at some point, Brass Knuckles really squared him up and hit him right in the jaw with one of his famous right hooks, and Justin's like about to fall over, and right at that moment the bell rings, the round ends. And so for the next several seconds that the two men were sitting in their corners, Brass Knuckles is basically just relaxing until the next round starts. But over in Shiny Pony's corner, like the medic is working on his face because he's bleeding everywhere, and all he could think in his head was, I can't give up. And so the bell rang again. He goes across the ring over to Brass Knuckles, except this time when he starts throwing punches, they land. And so when the bell finally rang after round 2, it was Brass Knuckles who was barely on his feet, stumbling back to his corner. And it was like everybody was in shock. Like, wait a minute, now it's 1-1? When that bell rang for the third round, Justin got up and he went over there to Brass Knuckles and just pummeled him. And eventually he struck Brass Knuckles in the nose hard enough that his nose kind of exploded and began bleeding everywhere. And the ref actually had to step in and separate them, and he ended the fight. It was a technical knockout, and Shiny Pony had won. Now, as much as this victory was huge for Justin, the truth was, Justin was not trying to become a professional boxer. This was actually just a charity match. And you know, Brass Knuckles Brazeau also was not a professional boxer. These two had just simply come together to have this match in order to raise money for charity. But Justin had another goal. He knew that his reputation in Canada was of being this sort of soft, pampered, weak guy, and he thought, if I can just get in the ring with a really formidable opponent in Brass Knuckles Brazeau and hold my own and maybe even beat Brass Knuckles in this fight, that could potentially sway the public's opinion about me. And that is exactly what happened. It was like he was the talk of Canada for a little while there. They're like, oh, look. And so Justin would use that momentum from the fight to eventually land the one thing he wanted more than anything else. He would get elected as the Prime Minister of Canada. The Shiny Pony's full name was Justin Trudeau.
That was so unexpected. I didn't expect that dude to become the Prime Minister of Canada. That's insane. That's a good come-up story, though. Like, W for him, dude.
When I say it's all of them, I mean it's all of them. We know about Big Mike. We know about Barbie Bush. We know about what's going on in France. Well, did you see what's going on in Bulgaria? Have you seen the Bulgarian princess? Wait, let's get a little closer. I can't. Well, don't worry, you guys. It's just fitness.
She doesn't really give princess vibes. You know what I'm saying? I know girls that work out a lot and they look nothing like that.
What the fuck is that? A giant stingray?
That would be an insanely large giant stingray. I tell you what, that would set some records, but no, that's not what it is. This TikTok video that I got tagged in got over 50 million views. It shows these people on a cruise. This guy's clearly enamored with something that he sees in the water. The person recording then walks over. We can see this giant floating mass, and they think it's a giant stingray, but no, this is actually sargassum. Sargassum is a free-floating brown algae. It creates these large mats in the ocean, sometimes tens of thousands of square feet, and it's pretty important for marine life when it's out in the ocean. So seeing this here on your cruise is a good thing. But these sargassum mats can become a problem when they reach the shore. This can disrupt the local ecosystem and cause some pretty big problems when it comes to decomposition of the sargassum. If ocean temperatures keep rising, we probably will see more of these sargassum mats too. Again, in the ocean, they're not as much of a problem. When they wash ashore, they can be. So hopefully it's manageable.
Her mouth was on fire. That's what a mother is saying about her daughter after she drank a margarita while out at a Mexican restaurant. So what was in the margarita? Here's Allison Hall.
Holly Hill was a beloved middle school teacher and a mother of 3. But a Valentine's Day date with her husband, Brandon, turned tragic in a shockingly unexpected way. She ordered a margarita at this Mexican restaurant near her home in Oklahoma. After just one sip, she ran to the bathroom and called her mom.
She immediately called me from the bathroom and told me that she needed to go to the emergency room.
What was she telling you?
She said there was something in my drink and my mouth's on fire and I'm not okay.
At first, doctors thought Holly had simply sipped a margarita that was too spicy. But when her condition got worse, she received a shocking text from the restaurant manager. Somehow, Holly's margarita had been mixed with industrial oven cleaner. The brand name is Glitter. It's a grill, oven, and deep fryer cleaner. And look at the warning label, corrosive. A scan showed Holly had catastrophic internal injuries.
The GI doctor said that her esophagus looked like hamburger meat, that the chemical had ate part of her esophagus.
Brave Holly kept a heart-wrenching video diary of her struggle to stay alive. She couldn't eat and was forced to use feeding tubes for sustenance. But after 2.5 agonizing years and more than 60 surgeries, Holly lost her battle.
She was gasping for air and flailing her arms around, and she said, "Mom, I'm dying, and I need you to know that I love y'all." I really did not think that she was going to die.
How Holly's margarita came to be mixed with a toxic cleaning fluid remains a mystery. The restaurant says everyone was deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Holly Hill. The individuals involved in that incident were terminated.
I would like to see criminal charges, and I think they need to be held accountable.
A criminal probe has been launched into how Holly was served that deadly margarita.
That's a new fear unlocked. Because what? You tell me I can go to a restaurant thinking my drink is straight just for it to have cleaner in it? Whoever did that definitely deserves jail time, and that family should 100% sue that whole company. Because what? That's literally like the worst mistake a bartender could make.
The truth about who spent the most time on that island? Fine, I'll give it to you straight, no filter. The former president, you know exactly which one. Yeah, Clinton. The survivors still call him #1. Epstein used to laugh and say there was heavy competition for the title. But when the girls compared notes in the safe houses later, every single one of us agreed he took the crown no contest. He liked the dog leashes, thick black leather ones with silver studs. He'd clip them on our collars, yeah, we had collars, and parade us around the main house, barefoot on the marble, out by the pool, sometimes all the way down to the beach. If you walked slow, he'd yank. If you stumbled, he'd make you get on all fours and eat dog biscuits off the floor like a good girl. He kept a crystal bowl of them right by the bar, called them treats. When he was in the mood, he'd pick one of us, always the youngest looking, always the one who still cried, and say, "You've earned something extra special tonight. You don't need me to spell out what the extra special was, you already know." Then Hillary would walk in. Everything got darker the second she appeared. She didn't want sex. She prefers terror. She'd scream at us to get on the floor and lick up whatever mess had been made. Sometimes it was food, sometimes it wasn't. If we were too slow, she'd grab a fistful of hair and shove our faces into it while the men laughed. And then there were the nights she called the most dangerous game. They'd release us into the trees with a 10-minute head start, barefoot, no clothes. She'd be waiting in a golf cart with a hunting rifle across her lap. Bill and his buddies followed on foot with those electric pods they used on the yachts. If he caught you first, you were dragged back and degraded in ways that used to wake me up screaming. If she caught you, you didn't come back. Most times, she didn't even bother getting close. She'd just take the shot from 50 yards and watch through the scope while you bled out on the leaves. That's who they were on that island. That's who they still are. And every time you see them smiling on television, remember, most of us never came home.
GF has an ex who passed away in an unsolved accident.
I've been on the case for 3 seconds. I've already figured it out.
Today she told me about how killers often keep trophies.
Oh, but you mean confessed. Your girlfriend confessed. My boy, you are doing something. Something you're not supposed to be doing. And she wants to make your heart go, and she's trying to stop you from turning into future confession number 2.
Should I be concerned?
Bitch, you should have been concerned a long time ago. There are red flags. There are red flags. And then there are fucking red flags. Red! This is some straight up fava beans, nice Chianti fucking level of scary. And listen, my brother, listen, I understand. There's something about a person that needs the grippy socks. It's like heroin. You can't help it. It's an addiction. But that girl has confessed to murder. In her mind, she has absolved herself. Anything that happens now, in her mind, that's on you.
So no one thought that it was weird. She won the first time she was a beauty queen. No one thought that it was weird. She ran an orphanage when she was 17. Oh God, that's not weird. Is that why I was in Romania? Is that why his funeral looked like WrestleMania? Isn't it weird? I guess that hug looks sexual. Oh God, that pat on the back, the kiss is consensual. Oh, isn't it a little weird that both of them don't look sad at all? And is that why the funeral looked more like a ritual? Isn't it weird that she worships like a demon? I think it's weird. That's the same stance. A vampire appears and it causes fear in me. It looks like The Exorcism's B-roll. Is Charlie Kirk buried in a stadium? Because they burn under a steeple? Isn't it weird that Christianity now feels demonic? I think it's weird that they won't let any of us be honest. I think it's weird that this is exactly what Charlie wanted a wife to perform at his funeral in front of a crowd of warmongers. White warmongers. I think it's weird. This is the only time we've seen her crying. Isn't it weird that we all know she's lying? Isn't it weird? Because that's when normal people would hide it. And I think it's weird that all my videos on the crime scene disappeared. I think someone has an eye on me this year. I'll try and post one of these videos about the crime scene later once everything gets cleared off. You know what I mean? Have a nice day.
I do think it's pretty weird, but you know what I'm saying? End of the day, she's gonna do what she's gonna do. The weirdest one was that baby one that we heard. I think it was like that third clip or something. Apparently she was like pregnant, but Charlie died 10 weeks ago, but she's 8 weeks pregnant. So 2 weeks after he died, she was already active. I don't know, they're all conspiracies, so who knows? But yeah, remember to subscribe. We are 10,000 away from 100. Let's get there before the end of 2025.
Thank you all for watching this here video.